It's been beat up. You know, I get flack a lot for using these levels for screeding. Good morning.
Good morning, buddy.
Square. Bennett. Listen, you need to know something very clear right now. Nice catch. Looks pretty star-spangled banner, kid. How you doing, boss? How you living?
Okay.
Good, good. Good morning, everyone. Just been hammering some pavers down a little bit here and there, making everything nice and even with each other. As you can see up here, nice and level. Like I said, I wanted to lift it up to level, not eighth, seeing as we have a significant slope going this way and naturally going down that way. So if I were to leave that pivot point up here, we got an eighth of a slope now going this way. So this is pretty much going to be the highest part of the walkway, and everything's going to go like this, slope right down. And then this way, this top landing area, we wanted to make a nice even eighth of a slope. So because we lay down our chipstone and screed it loose, when we put these pavers down, we always hammer them into place. And again, you need to, especially with a 3-piece kit. Because not all the pavers are going to set at the same rate. The smaller ones are going to set more, and the biggest one's going to set less. So sometimes you got to lift the small ones up and set the big ones down more. And you have to go through that with your hammer and by eye. There's no way around it if you want a really nice, quality, flat result to your patio. If you don't do it, you're going to have some sticking up and some sinking lower than others, and that truly takes away from the professional look. So I've hammered in all of these pretty much. From here over, still needs some work, but you can see a good example of this small one being lower is right here. This small one's already lower than the square, and when I hit this with a hammer once, it's going to set even more. So I have to pick this up, put some more chipstone under it, and hammer it into place to meet this big one and the square, or else in a couple years down the road, this one's going to settle lower than these all around it, and this is going to be a little spot where a puddle can arise. You have to lift these up, put more material in it, and set them in. So this is a 5-pound hammer, 5.5 pound. And doing that, you just caused about 5 to 7 years of settlement, natural settlement. Now these pavers are really tight. I hit them all very hard with this big mallet, and they just aren't gonna sink lower than they are now. They're gonna stay the same height as the square and the rectangles around it. So that's what I'm gonna do through this whole area before I set up more screed rails and lay more pavers. Okay, we're ready to screed this last section here. So because of this slope, where this wants to meet right over there, obviously the line's buried. You have to really lift it up to come level. Heavy slope. But we're coming down here, you can see that our level's lower than top of the bluestone, which this would be the top of the paver. But when we get down to about right here is where we're gonna kind of do a little freehand screeding to level it off and bring it in with the top of the step a little better. So when I get down here, pretty much gonna be coming up to about this height. Another ½ an inch or so of chipstone. But these screed rails are set in to where I want them to be up to this point. So I'm gonna screed off them to there, and whenever I have that pile left over, I'm gonna remove the screed rails and then freehand screed with this level and mesh it in nicely. Is that a penny? Wow. It's been beat up. I'll find my rails first. There it is. Geesh, higher than I thought. So I want to take what's above the screed rails and mesh it in. You know, I get flack a lot for using these levels for screeding. Like I'm doing a disservice to this thing. That's what I buy them for. This one has lasted us probably 3 years and it's still money. That 6 foot I've had for probably 6 years. And I've screeded probably over 50 patios with that thing. I don't know why you don't think you can use a level to screed with. So we're keeping these pipes close together. It's too narrow to use the 6 foot, but the 4 foot isn't completely wide enough. So if you put your pipes a little closer, you can slide the 4 foot level back and forth and get that width you need. If you try to set the pipes right to the edge of the 4 foot, you're not going to be able to slide it back and forth. I just fell off the pipe right there. If you ever feel that, you gotta go back. Perfect. Now, like I said, I can take these pipes out and just kind of screed by eye here, get it to meet up better. What's happening? Yeah, we started laying him yesterday.
Kinda figured you did. Where's Daddy?
He's late. He's got to watch his kids this morning.
You need my help?
I'm just chilling. Good morning.
Good morning, buddy.
Nice hat.
Yeah, thank you.
Styling.
Yeah, I feel like washing my hair today. Yeah, looking good, kid.
Yeah, the home stretch and then a lot of cuts to do.
Yeah, but that's nice because then when you do the cut, you put your borders on and you're done.
Yep, borders, concrete, and then poly sand the joints. I don't think we'll poly sand today though.
Yeah, I guess this is where you really need to have like a third person right now, you know, so you could have somebody to keep moving with you.
3-man crew is perfect for hardscaping.
Yeah, I think so too, yeah.
The best ratio is like, you know, 1 helper to 1 installer. But if me and Ben were able to both install, and then like when Travis is here, Richie's here, you know, they're doing all the other stuff. Me and Ben are just installing, you know, so that saves a lot of time. But when it's just me and Ben, unfortunately he does a little bit more lumping than me because I'm the builder.
That's right, that's right.
So we got a little bit of a lip here for compaction. That's what we want, because once we lay them in, we're gonna really settle them down. Says you can't trowel with a level. Biggest trowel you've ever seen. You gotta level this out over here. So you can put chipstone in those channels and fill them in before you lay, or you can start laying and as you get closer put a little chipstone in, trowel it out in front of you as you come down. But we're all screeded, ready to lay some more pavers. So before I lay over here, I just want to answer some questions. There's a lot of manufacturers that sell a 3-piece design like this. and all of them have their own patterns you can use, or you can come up with one on your own. The problem is making that pattern work with the ratio of pavers you have of each size. And depending on what they give you on the pallet versus what you need for the pattern, it may make everything really confusing. And me personally, I don't like being able to identify a pattern in a laid patio or a walkway. It kind of takes away from it in my eyes. I like a random, completely random pattern. And the way to get that look is by watching out for a few different things. Number one thing, if you're a viewer of the channel, you know you don't want four-way intersections. That means the corner of four pavers intersect and touch each other, making like a plus sign. That can really take away from a good random look. Just for some reason, I don't know what it is. Once you've seen a couple and you've seen them in patios, you know what I mean? It just sticks out like a sore thumb. So we don't ever put four ways in a pattern like this. The other thing you want to look out for is long joint lines. We try not to go more than 4. 5 pavers is probably the most you want to have in a pattern that like we have. 6 pavers or more is a very long joint line, and you can look around at this, you're not going to see anything like that. No 4 ways and nothing over 5 pavers before you split the joint line. When I say split the joint line, like this right here is 2 large rectangles and a square, so that would basically be 4 squares. So we want to break that up. So we go down there and then we broke it right there, and we broke it for a couple pavers so that joint line doesn't look like it's running the whole way. And the other thing you want to watch out for is putting an abundance of the same size together. One thing you're going to have difficulties with is splitting up squares as well as you can split up the rectangles, especially when you're looking out for 4 ways. So every once in a while you have to put like 3 squares together or so. This is like 5 right here, but they're broken up on 2 levels right here, and then surrounding them are a bunch of other small ones, so it kind of fades in good. So those 3 things, if you watch out for them, you'll have a nice randomly laid look like you see here. And you just use the pavers per layer as they give you off of the pallet, and you'll be able to know that you have enough of each size throughout the whole thing. If you start digging through the layers to get different sizes, you're gonna end up messing up your ratio and be forced to maybe put 4 ways or use an abundance of one size in one area. So just be cognitive while you're laying that stuff out, and you'll end up having a really good result for sure. Square. Nope. Listen, you need to know something very clear right now. What? You're late. You're late in a sense. You're late in a sense that I was here first.
Still not late.
Listen, I'm gonna forget the second part then. I was gonna tell you we're disc golfing. We're not anymore.
Identify what it is.
Hey,
Who knows?
that thing's a walking, not walking. What do you call that movement?
Slinky?
Slinkying. It's like a green pine cone, dude.
Yeah.
Like before it turns brown.
Yep.
Oh, careful, bud. You almost had a tip over alert. It's looking pretty good. Looking really good. And he's getting the border out. We're gonna use that to find our curve so we can make our cuts.
I'm gonna hit the road.
All right,
Keep up the good work, buddy.
good to see you.
Same here, bub. Same here. Good to see you. Always, always.
But another square will have to be cut. Oh. Those aren't going to line up perfectly square, but the main concern when doing something like this is to make sure your entry point to the house is square, which this is. Then we're gonna follow that joint line straight, and all you do is you stagger that over. And like the builder who did this wall and those steps, that's really hard to get perfectly square with each other. So when you do something like this and you try to meet it up, it doesn't always meet perfect, but you got to pick the lesser of two evils. And in this situation, if we were to go square off of this, by the time we got up there, all these joint lines would be shifted, and that would look really bad. And then we'd have to cut all the pavers up against that step. And then as you come out of your front door and go into your front door, you see that your joint lines are not square with your house. So this is the lesser of two evils. If you guys follow the channel, you probably know me and Ben like to play disc golf. He bought 4 new putters, brand new to him. You see how they fly. Don't hit the Subaru. Wizard. Nice catch, dude. You might want to get away from your car. Hey, thanks for getting a little dopamine hit for the day right there. Those are nice discs. All right, back to work. What do you say? Let's get out of here. Back to work. So with this, it's pretty simple. It's just a straight cut. We're gonna measure off each side, and it's like 12 and 1/8. That's perfect. We want a good 1/4 inch over here, so we're gonna do like 11 7/8. And then this side, because it opens up a little bit, that's at 12 and 1/4. No, it's actually about 3/8. So we'll do this on this side at about 12. Yeah, I think we're definitely gonna be able to save some of the other sides of these cuts. Celebrate things like that. Come on. Dude, you're gonna leave that gap. You would leave that gap, Benny.
As close to it as I could. Always say anything I don't do.
Hey, come on, man. You know, that's as close to it as you could. Dude, your eyebrows touched the brim of your freaking hat, dude.
I know, my hat almost fell off. I had to catch it.
Knock your hat off with your eyebrow raised. Like, okay, pal. This is what you can't do with like a conduit or edging, dude. Like, this is whatever we cut right here, this is exactly how it's gonna look once we put the pavers on. This takes time, but again, what's your goal, dude? Put a walkway in as fast as you can, or put in the sickest walkway you possibly can. You know, I'll tell you what my goal is. Option B for Ben. Looks pretty star-spangled banner, kid.
David Banner?
No small sliver cuts. That's another big thing to look out for. Like if you were to put a square instead of this rectangle, then you have a small triangle. Stay away from that at all costs, dude. That's why I did all these big ones right here though. Look, boom. No, look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 big ones in a row, but that's for that purpose. Because all of these would have been little small triangle cuts if you put a square in any of these positions. That's foresight. Oh. These ones were cutting dry. I'm gonna go do it over in the street. But this whole outer edge, I'm gonna cut it right in place with water. He's always so far ahead of the game that he watches me play it by myself. Check it out, guys. Always yelling at me for my blue surgical masks. The only reason I had those was because of COVID. N95, there you go. I know, it's good for me. There's your cuts. Hey, this mask is pretty good.
Yeah, no fog in the glasses?
Yeah, if I could go back to 2020, I wouldn't have bitched so much. Slash never. How do I look?
Professional.
Yeah? That's good. Like a professional dink. That was a good one. That's the ideal right there. It's a little tight. Sometimes you can just cheat that a little bit instead of recutting it, because it's really, we're talking 1/16 of an inch with something like this, how it's really tight and this side is. Just want to take your mag, go in there, push the pavers back a little bit, and then you can see kind of opens that gap up just a little bit more. Yeah, they're sitting on concrete behind these treads. I'm gonna have to grind them off, and that really stinks. You can see they're sitting too high, and it's because of the concrete they're on. You see this concrete? I'm gonna have to grind these pieces down so the paver can go down. So I gotta use the saw, pull those pieces up and use the saw and cut that off. The guy from Kamasi is here to deliver the rest of our materials. We only brought a couple pallets of pavers. He's got the rest. He should have another 5 pallets of regular pavers, some wall block, some wall cap, some outer border pavers. All that's gonna be for the back patio, so glad to see him here before disc golf.
Yeah.
All right, those all lined up good. We trimmed the mortar out and they've sat down pretty good, right even with the bluestone now. So we're resetting up the outer border at the end here. We're gonna mark it and cut this outer border first before we go over to this side. How you doing, boss? How you living?
Okay.
Good, good. I'm just gonna have you set them up on the side of the driveway here on the grass. I'm gonna pull them into the back as I need them. Yep.
You want me to square them or just drive in and lay them out?
If you want to just turn to your side and bang, yep.
Yeah, okay.
Yep, that's perfect. Guy's a professional, Benny. He's a professional at what he does. And those things are so much different to drive than any kind of like machine I'm used to, man. Not a forklift. Oh yeah, he's been driving that thing for years probably. Yeah, dude, we're putting it in permanent marker right now. Damn it. I'm a noob. Yeah, I think a lot of these cuts, the outer side, we're gonna be able to use over here and save some of these pavers on the inside. So we'll cut this side completely, clean it all up, and then see what we can put over on that side. Yeah, buddy. We'll wait for him to get out of here before we do any cutting. Okay, so we're gonna score this line, meaning we're just gonna trace it about 1/4 inch deep, and that's gonna be the line that you'll always see from here on out. But then afterwards, when we go to cut all the way through, we're gonna cut it at a little bit of an angle to make sure the border sits right up against that cut line, the score line that you made. This is the outer radius, so we'll be able to cut everything where it lays, but this is gonna be not as fun. Score it, blow it off, and then we gotta rinse everything down, get it wet. You know the deal. Now, as we're cutting all the way through, we want to rinse everything down so that the paste that comes off the saw is easier to rinse off everywhere that we splatter it on. Flowers too. what Benny looks like when he's hosing the pavers off. Imagine if somebody really wanted to get that view, dude, they'd have to lay on the pavers and look up at you.
You get up just catching it all in the face.
Yeah.
That's a good shot.
Good shot. You can see the difference. That's a good 1/4 inch higher than our pavers, so that we can settle them into place. And the outer border is going to be the same thing. What do you think of it, bud? Darn tootin'. So when you're hammering these in, it's good to hold it from the side so it doesn't want to go out as you're hitting it into the ground. So we'll just start here. He's got this side laid out, looking real smooth. That looks ready to mark and cut, dude.
Yeah, looks good.
You're wearing your competition shirt. I like that.
Yep.
Dude, that looks really sweet, dude.
My boots?
Yep, you and everything behind you. I really like that. I really, really like that, Ben. Except I'm not gonna use this pallet. No, probably, I guess well, no, probably a piece of plywood. This thing's worth $35.
Plywood's worth 50.
Yeah, but we ain't gonna ruin it. Better not. Alright, time to score it. Benny's gonna blow the excess dust as best as he can that way. That cutting station will protect the grass from the cement paste that can kill a lawn, so try to be careful with that. Like I said before, on an inner radius cut, if I try to cut that all in place as I go around the corner, the back of the blade is gonna start chipping the paver on the inside. So you can't cut it in place. You gotta score it and then cut it off on another spot. So the inner radius is always much tougher. Watch it be empty. Empty. The wind's blowing in our favor, dude. Do you think we cut this dry with a blower? See how it goes? I got masks. Now we freaking got the grass wet, it's all gonna stick to it. It's really a tough battle with that. That paste is just a mess, but the dust is no good either. Good morning. Today is Tuesday, September 26th, 2023. Morning, pal.
Good morning.
How you living?
Chilly.
Yeah,
it's a chilly one right now.
It's chilly. 3 days of rain, man. Literally everything in Massachusetts has been wet for 3.5 days now. And it's going to be in the 60s all week, so it's going to take a while to dry up. That's this time of year, though. So it's been 3 days since we've been here. We still got to hammer in the border. It's done in a few places, but not everywhere. You can see these pavers over here lifted up higher. But as I mentioned, that's what you want to do with the border. You want to lift them up higher and set them, because that's the first place that's going to want to sink on any kind of paver installation. But I'm really happy with how this turned out. It's kind of an awkward radius, but we made it work pretty good, I think. And he's getting some concrete going. You always want to make sure you make like a little trench for the concrete to sit in, far enough away from the paver that it's not getting undermined. And then the concrete's going to sit in this trench a little bit forward of it and slope back to about 1 inch below the top of the paver. They make aluminum edging and plastic edging that they like. A lot of places like to push that material. I don't agree with it. I think concrete's the best way to go. I do have a video about that, purely about how we do the concrete on the edge. I will leave a link in the description if you're interested in that. But that's pretty much what we do. We make that trench about 3 inches or so below the bottom of the paver, and it gives you a really nice thick bed of concrete to hold the sides in. With open grade base, they do make spikes and edging that makes the spikes go at a cross, and they do hold somewhat good, but in my opinion I don't think they hold as good as concrete. And it's not as easy to go in and repair if you had to. Concrete, if you did have an area crack after a couple of years and kind of break off, you just break the concrete off, mix a new bag of concrete, redo the trench. If there's any border pavers that moved a little, you can fix them then and then put the concrete back there. It's the best way. I still haven't had to go back to any jobs I've done to fix concrete edging though, honestly. They sell other stuff, like it's called perma edge or other comparable things where they have microfibers and other things mixed in with it. But again, in my opinion, it all comes down to the money. All these manufacturers of these products in the hardscape industry and every industry really, they have a lot of products that they make a lot of profit on. So they put a lot of money into marketing it. And man, that perma edge stuff is expensive, and I know it works good. I just refuse to pay a ridiculous price for things like that. It's just concrete, you know. I think it's like 30 bucks a bag or something, and it's only like a 40 or 50 pound bag. I don't know, I might be wrong about that. I don't use it often. Use it a couple times, but all that money adds up, makes your estimates cost more, makes you make less money, but the manufacturers make a lot of money, especially off any kind of plastic or foam or steel product. The markup is just outrageous. I don't even want to think about the profits they make off that stuff. What I'm doing right here is more important than any edge restraint you can put on it. Setting these border pavers in, you can see how much I'm actually hitting them and how much time it takes to force them down to this height. That's doing years worth of natural settling on its own. Most important thing on any paver install, in my opinion. A lot of people teach methods and procedures that are based off of time efficiency, getting in and out, you know, so you can make more profit and you can also save the customer money. But a lot of those are not proper ways of doing a hardscape installation, and all it does is ends up screwing the customer in the end. It's just like people not laying out the border pavers on a curve before they mark it and using some kind of flexible material or object. It's something that saves you a lot of time, but I'll put my cuts up against a lot of people that use that method. The results speak for themselves, in my opinion. Bro, you know who I'd love to spend a day with? Mike Rowe. I'd like to shake that man's hand. Seems like a guy that would drink something with whiskey in it.
Yeah.
I drink whiskey with him. It's like just a total like stupid assumption, dude. I don't know why. He's a hard worker. So this is important to check too. You can see there's a little gap from over there to right about there, and we're not level, so we still need to hit that border down a little bit more, even though it looks real good by eye. That's the kind of thing where if you don't have like the slope we have that's just naturally going down, that can cause a puddle. If your patio sloped towards an area like this and you have that little spot where the border is higher like that, after polymeric sand, the water will sit there. It'll naturally permeate through pavers unless you seal them, because concrete's porous, but it'll sit there for a while before it goes away. That's what we're looking for. You saw Benny mix that up. Quikrete typically has a lot of gravel in it, I feel. So what we're doing here is we bought a bag of just mortar from Quikrete, and we're putting like a quarter bag of mortar per bag of concrete. Just gives a little bit more cement and helps seal it up better for the edges. Seems to be working out good. Front walkway is 99.2% done. A little add-on that the customer had me do was break out a bunch of failing joints and remortar or repoint them. So I did that. We're hoping to do polymeric sand this morning, but you can see the edges of a lot of these pavers are still wet. You can't poly sand when it looks like that, or else you're going to stain those parts that are damp or wet. So we're gonna have to wait and come back at another time, but it looks really good. No more mulch over there. I also power washed this, repointed this bottom joint here behind the tread. Well guys, I know this was a long video and it's been a while since I uploaded, but I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope to get a few more up within this next week or so, but let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of this front walkway replacements. But until the next one, you guys know the deal. God bless. Peace.